Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, August 23rd, 2025. And big night of boxing ahead. We've got the big show in Queensland, the Fortitude Valley. So I'll be sure to be checking that out. I'll go over the card in a second. A little bit with the Canelo Crawford card happening. And Tszyu Jarvis. Is it going to be next? We'll have a look at that in a second. All right, firstly, on this day, let's go back to 1975 in Mexico. Miguel Canto defended his world flyweight title by knocking out Japanese challenger Hiro Takada in the 11th round. In 1986, Miguel Happy Law. I've been mentioning his name quite a bit lately on this day. He defended his world bantamweight title by knocking out Dominican Enrique Sanchez in the 6th round. And in 1998, Japanese Toshiro Tatsuyoshi, I think that's how you pronounce it, defended his world bantamweight title by defeating Paul Ayala in the 7th round. And I think looks like there was a few fights on that card, but that was the main event. What else happened on this day? I'm not sure I had anything else there. Where are we? July 23rd. Well, this is I suppose, one for the boxing historians. In 1933, the first televised boxing match, it was a 6-round middleweight exhibition in London, was the first fight aired on BBC TV. And they've obviously been one of the dominant broadcasters over, decades in England. But a little bit of a tidbit there for you anyway. That's not much else is happening today. All right, so we'll get on to, we'll start with Tszyu and Brock Jarvis. Now, it looks like the talks are underway that fight will be next. Now, I saw yesterday on a couple of sites, Aussie sites that is, that Jeff Fennick and Glenn Jennings have both expressed interest in the fight, and Glenn Jennings, it's funny, he always sort of makes I suppose, light of some things that sort of get thrown his way. Come here, man, we're not going that way, we're going this way. Good boy. Said they should walk to the ring with clown noses on. Maybe they will. Knowing Nikita, that's probably what he would do. It's a bit of a joke. But, yeah, look, and I think it does make sense. As I said, both guys said they're open to the fight. Now, I know a lot of the sort of spin or attention has been sort of thrown at or directed towards Michael Zarafa and Nikita Tszyu. Look, I've said all along, it's just hasn't got the feel about it. As they say in the castle, the vibe. It hasn't got the vibe. And I've said that right from day one. Now, I know it makes sense for No Limit and the Australian public, I suppose. I suppose they want the fight. I get the impression that most Aussie boxing fans have said, well, if we can't get Tim versus Michael, I suppose this one will do. There hasn't been anyone, that I know anyway in the industry, or what I've seen online saying, wow, we've got to get Nikita and Michael Zarafa together. What a fight this will be and what a blockbuster it'll be. The theme has been, I suppose if Tim doesn't want the Zarafa fight, well, I suppose Nikita will be okay. There hasn't been the rivalry, I suppose, and even though it is or has been deemed a rivalry between Tim and Michael, it's all been sort of one way. Michael Zarafa has obviously, right from the word go, really taken aim at Tim as far as being a potential opponent, and I don't blame him. I really don't. Of course he's going to target Tim Tszyu. It's a massive fight, massive payday, massive attention. It's obviously the biggest fight that he's gonna ever have. So I understand it. But from Tim's point of view, right from day one, he's been, I don't really want the fight. That's not the fight that I want. First of all, it was, I don't think he's really at my level, and I don't think he's really deserved it, and all this sort of stuff. And now it's along the lines, then it was, the next step was, what was it? What was I going to say? He's not on his level. Then it was, I'm not going to give him a shot because I don't like him. That was the next sort of phase we went through. And now it's like, maybe we could look at it, but it still doesn't sort of make sense to us. We've just got to evaluate where we're at. So that's where the Tim Tszyu and Michael Zarafa fight is. And the media, of course, were the ones that really did manufacture this so-called feud. I don't think there is a feud. I just think it's Michael Zarafa really probably taking, well, is he taking offence at the attention that Tszyu has gotten, and both Tszyus for that matter, and in his mind, undeserved without proving it. Now, I think Tszyu, regardless of what's happened in the last sort of 18 months, did do enough to really get the Aussie boxing public behind him and the media and the fight fans out there. Because, I mean, this guy was sort of eyeing out sort of everybody, and the way he demolished Tony Harrison and then the really good win over Brian Mendoza for the WBO belt. I can understand everyone really getting behind Tim and thinking he was a real deal. But Michael all along is taking umbrage of that. He's taken offence at that as well, and that's probably been sort of the source of his angst. But as I said, Tim's, in my view anyway, has never really had an issue with Zarafa except that he pulled out of the fight the first time. And I think that's been done to death, the fact that he pulled out of this fight. I'm a bit sick of hearing that, to be honest. But I think now it just comes down to spite, where Tim's saying you're not going to get the fight. So as I said, now it turns to little brother Nikita. But if the Tszyu and Zarafa fight was a bit forced on us by everyone concerned, geez, the Nikita fight exceeds that by 10, I think. Nikita, I mean, it's pretty hard to get a rise out of him anyway, as far as getting anything controversial or anything for him to say. Well, actually, I take that back. It's not hard to get something not controversial, but a little bit left of centre out of Nikita. And we heard his post-fight interview the other night about listening to Thunderstruck when his baby was born and all this sort of stuff, and obviously the comments about the placentas and the breast milk and all that sort of stuff. But you don't really hear him say anything bad about opponents. Michael Zarafa even like is the same, and if you can't get Michael Zarafa sort of talking some smack about a potential opponent, I think we're in a bit of trouble as far as trying to really hype that fight up. Now, no doubt it would be big. It would be big. But again, I've said all along, I just think it would be really manufactured and just lack a little bit of substance, just lack a little bit of depth into the fight. And I just think it will be, I know the media would go wild over it, but I said the other, I just don't think fight fans would be that into it. Of course, they'll watch it. And yes, they'll probably pay the $70 or whatever it's going to be. But it's a forced fight for me. And that's why I think the Jarvis fight is a hell of a lot better to make. I just think for where both guys are in their careers, I think it is the perfect fight. And I think even though the barbs have gone sort of back and forth, I think Jeff Fennick knows it's the right fight. And I think Glenn Jennings knows it's the best fight. Because you look at, I suppose, both of them. Nikita Tszyu, he's had 12 fights, looked impressive. I'm not going to count the other fight the other night as being his first taste of international experience. Probably like some other fighters recently, they would have got more out of a 10-minute pad session out the back than fighting. It wasn't Nikita's fault, by the way. He turned up. He was ready to go. I mean, I've gone over this a couple of times now, but I don't really count that fight as his first sort of big step up in the ladder. Brock Jarvis has had a couple of big steps, Liam Paro and Keith Thurman. I mean, we probably didn't know that Liam Paro was going to be the fighter that he is at the moment when they fought. I was out 3 or 4 years ago as well. But the fact is he fought him. I think we all know the result as well. He got iced in 1 round and then stood up or backed up against Keith Thurman and was knocked out in 3 rounds. So he hasn't exactly measured up when he's had his opportunity. But I just think where he is at the moment, it does make all the sense in the world. What is he, 27 years of age? He has to roll the dice, Brock Jarvis. He has no other fights, apart from maybe a Zarafa. But Zarafa, if he's not that interested in fighting Nikita Tszyu, why the hell would he be interested in fighting Brock Jarvis? It makes 0 sense. So that fight isn't going to happen. But for Brock, as I said, he's lost those 2 big fights of his career, most notably the recent one with Thurman. So he really needs to roll the dice now and see where he's at. Now, I think, even though they'll probably say the contrary, I think Jeff and Brock's team and Brock himself would probably know that he's not really going to be at world level and get a shot at world titles and all this sort of stuff. And they have to match him very carefully because of the way he fights. He's got that kamikaze type of approach, can get hurt, can get rocked, can get knocked out, of course. And the fact that he's at middleweight, I think he said he's going to go down to 154, which is probably, I suppose, a good move. I didn't really like him at middleweight, but the problem I've got with him at the moment from what I saw on Wednesday night is he doesn't really know whether he's a boxer or a puncher, and he sort of looked like he got himself confused and almost beaten by Sam Beck. So Look, I'm sure they'll work on that. Jeff's only been back for this one fight, but for him, this is the fight that he has to make because, as I said, he's not going to be at world level. I think if he steps up anywhere near remotely, you know, the top 15 or something in the world, it's not going to end well for Brock. And I think, as I said, that his team knows that, and that's why I think the Nikita fight makes all the sense in the world, because if he's going to step up, I suppose, to someone, or Nikita is ranked in the top sort of 15 by a couple of organisations, it's probably not as risky, I suppose, of going up and fighting one of those top liners like he did with Keith Thurman. I just think that it would be a big fight here in Australia. It will get a lot of traction, a lot of media, and Brock would have another chance to get a good payday, get in the spotlight, and who knows, maybe give Nikita Tszyu a good fight. But I just don't see any other options for Brock Jarvis at this stage. Now, again, I know his team will probably disagree with that and say, oh, well, we'll just keep building, and you never know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I know. Well, I don't know, of course, but I think I know that it's not going to end well for Brock if he does decide to step up. And I think, look, the Nikita fight would be a good fight, don't get me wrong. It'd be entertaining, but I just think Nikita's sharpshooting and his power would be bad news for Brock. Now, for Nikita, as far as whether the fight makes sense, yes, that's what I'm sort of getting at the moment. I know I've probably gone around in circles a little bit, but I just think the Brock Jarvis fight, Brock is a name. His style is 100% suited to Nikita with that sharpshooting style and his power. I think Brock would just be walking straight onto those shots. He has that kamikaze approach where he leaves himself open, goes in and out in a straight line. Very, very predictable, and I think Nikita probably has an underrated boxing IQ, and when he wants to use his IQ, he's very, very good, let's just say, and precise and everything else. So I think the style-wise would be great for Nikita, and I think what Brock gives Nikita is it's a live body who's more than capable of the Brewbakers and the Mazzudias and all these types of stuff. I think he is slightly above those guys, but he's probably more susceptible, if that makes sense. Colin Mazzudia was tough, but he had sort of pretty good defence and everything, so he made Nikita think. The thing with Brock, even though he might be a little bit more talented than those other guys, his style, it's just straight ahead, leaves himself open, and I just think Nikita would have a field day just pot-shotting Brock Jarvis from a distance, and I think he would knock Brock Jarvis out in about 5 or 6 rounds. Not to say I don't want to see the fight. I think it will be a good fight, and as I said, I think it's a great fight for both guys at this stage of their career. I think Brock's exactly the level that Nikita needs to be at, or the fighter he needs to just build his repertoire on, get some rounds in, and just have somebody that's going to come at him hard. Now, and I think it sells on pay-per-view. I think while there might be an element of people out there saying, hang on, this is the guy that got iced by Thurman, I think he is well known enough that the fight would sell. I think Brock obviously would talk it up a little bit. He's got the looks that everyone keeps talking about, but I just think that fight, for me, I spoke about the vibe earlier, that has got the vibe. Nikita Tszyu, Brock Jarvis, let's make it happen. I think it'd be big business here in Australia. Now, would it be worth $70? I'll let you decide on that. I think it is. I really do. And I think they would probably learn from this show and probably put on a better fight card anyway. But and then, of course, we've got the big test next month, September 18th. What's that card going to look like with Liam Paro, Liam Wilson and Paul Alcuso? I think from what I've seen so far, it will be a hell of a lot better than Wednesday night's card. But at this stage, as I said, I just think let Michael Zarafa go off and do his thing. Maybe next year, if there's not much happening and maybe Tim's back and they really do want to step Nikita up, well, then maybe look at it. Maybe if Nikita beat Brock, it might sort of just change Michael Zarafa's sort of point of view on the whole thing. But I just get the feeling he's just not interested in the fight. He's just not, and even No Limit seem a little bit lukewarm about it, and they'd be the ones that you would think would be rubbing their hands together and saying, hey, let's go, this is the fight we need, probably to give us a little bit of credit after what's been happening. So let's see what happens, but by all accounts, if you've got platforms like Main Event looking like they're really pushing the fight, you get a feeling it's going to happen. I mean, they're the backbone of Australian broadcasting, aren't they? Boxing broadcasting, that is. So you think if they really want to sort of get this on the push, that it will happen. But keep a look out for that one. But that's my tip anyway. Nikita Tszyu versus Brock Jarvis next in November or December. All right, quick look at tonight's show. And I haven't probably covered it a lot, have I? And I apologise about that. I didn't actually realise it was a sort of a big enough show that Eddie Hearn has made the track out to Australia, up in Queensland. We've got Jake Wiley and Yusuf Dib, both coming off respectable losses. Jake Wiley against George Kambosos and Yusuf Dib against Liam Wilson. So that won't be a bad fight. I would probably think that Jake Wiley will win that fight. I saw yesterday they were pretty pumped up. They looked like a really good crowd at the weigh-in, and looks like they're all sort of getting behind it up there. It's on DAZN, so I'll be watching it tonight. But a really, really good card, and I really like the fact that actually Eddie Hearn's actually come out to Australia to help promote it. He has got Jake Wiley, of course, after that performance against George Kambosos. So looking forward to seeing that fight. As I said, I think Jake Wiley gets the win. Yusuf Dib will be tough. He always is. But I just think Jake Wiley's a little bit more polished and probably a little bit fresher at this stage of his career. Yusuf Dib's had some wars, so I just think that might tell tonight. But it will be an excellent fight. I think it'll be an absolute war, but I'm going to back Jake Wiley to win that. On the undercard, we've got Alex Leopold Jr., Tom Nagapi, is it? I'm not really sure. What's his record there? 0-1. Alex Leopold Jr. is 5-0. So I'm thinking I might just lean Leopold Jr.'s way on that one. A couple of other undercard fights there, but the main support, Sky Nicholson, Urvashi Singh. I don't know anything about Urvashi Singh, but looking at the odds, she's a $31 underdog, or I don't know how it works with the betting. Sky Nicholson's a $31 favourite, or however it works. Either way, extremely one-sided. Look, I was just going to say, I'm disappointed that Sky Nicholson's probably gone to this level of opponent. I mean, in my opinion, she's probably an A- grader in women's boxing. She's a very, very good fighter. She's not really at the absolute level as far as A and A pluses go, but she's an A- for me. And I haven't seen this Urvashi Singh fight, but I'm hoping she can deliver. I hope she can give Sky a fight. But from what I've sort of seen and read from other sort of creators, I suppose, other sources, it's going to be a one-sided fight. I think this is the girl that was supposed to fight Chanel Dargan, and this was the bizarre one where her team sent Chanel Dargan's team photos of her father or something that was critically ill or something, and it turned out it was a photo from about 5 years ago during COVID, and it was all manufactured, and she'd lied, and just hey, why don't you just say you had a better offer? If no contracts were signed, I don't know why she couldn't just have done that rather than lying. But either way, she was supposed to fight Chanel Dargan. They pulled her from that fight to fight Sky Nicholson. Sky Nicholson will win this fight very, very easily. Let me just say that. And again, I know I haven't seen a lot of Singh, but just call it a gut feel. And look, it is what it is. I can also understand on the other flip side as well that this event's not a massive event. It's going to be a real solid event, and congratulations to all concerned up there, but it's not, I would think, a show with a big budget. So I can understand that they want to get Sky a fight, put her on this card. They've only got limited funds to spend, so bring in this girl who's hopefully will just give Sky some rounds and keep her active. One thing I will give Sky Nicholson credit for is she's very active. She fights very regularly. She likes to be in the ring. This probably comes from her amateur background. I think she had a couple of hundred amateur fights and always on the go. So she's sort of taken that into the pros, and I give her credit for that. But I'm just hoping that this girl can at least have a pulse. The last girl that put Sky Nicholson with fair income, you thought the American the other night with Mikey Darmlin was bad. Well, that was just as bad. I think they just put her out of some bloody boxer size class in Mexico, to be honest. It was horrific. But anyway, let's hope tonight's show is a little bit better. And all the best to all concerned up there with the Fortitude Valley guys. And it is, again, on DAZN. One last thing. We have the, the Canelo Crawford event sort of finalised. So it looks like Well, obviously it's going to be on Netflix, and I don't mind. I'm really keen to see how the Netflix thing goes. This is the first, I know they've had the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight, but this is their first real big event. Not the fight with Paul and Tyson, which was more of a, almost a little bit like WWE, I suppose. This is one of the biggest fights of the last sort of quarter century. And this is the first big event on DAZN, so I'm really looking forward to it. So they've got, who's it, John Anik from the UFC. I don't really know about him. This is the broadcast team, but they've got Max Kellerman and Andre Ward. So off to a flyer there as far as a commentary team. I've got a lot of respect for Max Kellerman and Andre Ward. So that should be really good, as I said, a good start. They've got Michael Buffer doing the announcing, which will be massive. It's sort of getting HBO vibes again about this. It should be great. What do they say at the desk? Mario Lopez, Antonio Tava, Mark Kriegel, and Mike Coppinger. So really, really good team as far as the expert analysis goes as well. The undercard, I did mention the undercard the other day. I didn't realise that was the prelim undercard. That was headlined by Sohail Boachuk. So the main card is Muhammad, I don't know these guys, by the way, but Muhammad Alakal 4-0 against John Anelius 4-5-2-1. That'll just kick off the show. Then I like Christian Mbili, Lester Martinez. So Mbili 29-0, 24 KOs. Martinez 19-0, 16 KOs at super middle. Should be a really good scrap. Then Callum Walsh 14-0 up against Fernando Vargas 17-0. Big fan of the Vargas boys, so let's hope. I'm hoping Fernando Vargas can get the win in that one, and then we go to the main event. So it's only a 4-fight main card on Netflix. Is free to subscribers. The undercard or prelim card will be on YouTube as well. So if you haven't got a Netflix subscription, you can watch it on YouTube if that's what you want to do. But that's it. But as I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Netflix model with all that cast, I suppose you could say, running proceedings. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I've always said that, in my opinion anyway, if Netflix wanted to get really serious about something like boxing, forget DAZN, Netflix could be an absolute behemoth as far as world boxing goes. They've obviously got the subscriptions, and just the, I suppose they've got the funds. I'm not sure how it compares to DAZN, but I would think it would dwarf DAZN. I think anyway. I don't know that for a fact, but just the way they've done the shows so far. And I know, actually, I'll stop there as well. I know someone's probably going to come at me about, well, hang on, the first big fight with Serrano and Taylor. It was a big fight, but this is a big fight, if that makes sense. That was a big event. This is a massive event. Okay, so. But I was really impressed with the Taylor and Serrano event. I just think this one will be probably the biggest one they'll probably ever do. But anyway, so I'm just really excited about the telecast and what they will bring to that telecast. And I'm really hoping that Netflix really take this seriously. It's a massive success. I think they're expecting, up to a couple of 100 million people watching this, or households. It is free with a subscription, obviously. So. But I'm really excited that if they do get serious and get behind it, could almost be HBO on steroids. And I used to love the HBO sort of model and what they did. This could be 10 times bigger. I think it would be great. So I'm really hoping it's a success. I hope the numbers are massive. I hope the response is massive. And nothing would make me happier than if Netflix took over and said, DAZN, hold my beer, we're taking over here and we're going to take on world boxing. I think it would be massive and would really shoot boxing back into the stratosphere. Just my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you out there love the DAZN model. I just don't. I just think the production's been a bit ordinary. A lot of the fight cards have been a bit ordinary. Just things, even the little things, just their announcers, the broadcast team, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but just for me, it's always just fallen a bit flat, the DAZN model. But Netflix do it well, and I'm hoping the Canelo and Crawford fight is a massive success, and Netflix go, hey, this is a whole new potential well of subscribers that we might have at our disposal. All the boxing fans signing up for regular boxing, it'd be great. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. All right, well, I've waffled on for far too long today. Haven't had a real lot to say, but I've still managed to waffle on for 25 minutes. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. Give me your thoughts as always. Always great to hear your comments and opinions. And we'll catch you tomorrow.